What is up, awesome people of the internet? Good morning. Welcome to Quita in the Mornings because my name is Quita. We are in the mornings and let's talk about some women's hoops, guys. Get your coffee, get your tea, get your orange juice, whatever you got to get it, and let's sit down and have a chat about what happened yesterday because yesterday we saw a fan-freaking-tastic day of women's hoops. We are deep in the second round of the NCAA women's basketball tournament, and y'all, chaos has officially arrived. I'm talking overtime thrillers. I'm talking about record-breaking performances. I'm talking about wild third-quarter comebacks and a whole lot more. This has been a fantastic first half of the round of 32. Today we have the other half of those games happening, but yesterday we had 8 games to go through, and there were some moments I was like, "Whoa, what just happened? What did this person just do?" And we're gonna get into all that. Okay, so buckle up your seatbelt, and let's kind of do a quick recap of what happened yesterday, including all of the games. But the first question I have is, are you still perfect? Is your bracket still perfect? Because if so, you are one of the rare ones, okay? You are one of 106 people who still have a perfect bracket. I mean, my bracket has been decimated. I have not looked at my bracket, since yesterday because I'm like, man, I did terrible. But 106 brackets remain perfect. And I mean, those people, man, y'all clearly knew something that the rest of us did not know. I'm just saying. I am just saying. What's up, Rick? Kentucky Rick in the building says, waiting for my Quita in the Mornings mug so I can have some coffee. Well, eventually I'll make it eventually. I will make it eventually. Denise says, my bracket is busted. Yep, you and me both. You and me both, Denise. You and me both. Good morning, Teresa. Good morning, Jackson. Good morning, Mariah. What's up? Avery said my bracket was busted before the tournament started. What's up, Tulip? What's up? Okay. Well, maybe you guys aren't one of the lucky ones to have a perfect bracket. I'm not either. So, it is what it is. But let's take a recap of yesterday's game. And let's actually first start at the top. We'll start at the top with the defending champs getting punched in the mouth early and ultimately getting the job done in the second half. South Carolina, they survived a scare in the first half. They powered past Indiana to reach their 11th straight Sweet 16. Guys, do not let the final score of 64-53 fool you. Guys, this was an absolute battle. South Carolina, they looked straight up mortal in that first half. Right? We don't see South Carolina kind of get got a little bit in that first half. Usually, yes, we do see them start slow. That's not a huge thing. But usually they start slow with their starters, their bench comes in, and then all of a sudden they in a groove. But yesterday, that did not happen. We saw this Indiana team play really well against South Carolina in that first half. In that first half, we saw no free throws for South Carolina. We saw cold shooting. We saw a rattled, out of sync team down by 1 point at halftime. And guys, we know how good Indiana can play against South Carolina. We saw that last year, right? Where it was also a very, very close game in the tournament between Indiana and South Carolina. But Indiana, they were ready to play in that first half. They were given double teams. They were playing some tough defense. They were having some good veteran poise by Chloe Moore McNeil, who had a fantastic first half. She had 10 points in that first half, and this was her final collegiate game. She was trying to give it all that she had, and I thought she played great in that first half. But then, guys, the flip of the switch for South Carolina. During that halftime break, supposedly they said in the post-game presser that that Tahina Powell was the one to get them together. But whatever she said, whatever Don Staley said, whatever the rest of the team said, man, you better just, focus on that in the future, because whatever was said at halftime, it worked. Because South Carolina stormed out of the halftime break on a 20-7 run, absolutely flipping the game on its head. Chloe Kitts was absolutely fantastic in that second half. All 10 of her points came in that second half. She grabbed 10 boards. She had a double-double again. This is her 10th one of the season. She started the party in that third quarter. And then everybody else kind of got right along. Tahina Powell was absolutely fantastic in this game. And it started on the defensive end. Where she had 4 blocks in this one, 2 steals, momentum shifting hustle. She was everywhere. Yes, Tahina did score some points, but to me, the focus was not on her offense at all. The focus was on Tahina's defense and how she kind of led by example for the rest of this team. We saw Joyce Edwards and Malaysia Fulwale overall have a quiet game offensively, but South Carolina, they didn't need flash in this game. They needed grit, and the starters delivered. Absolutely delivered in this game. But I do have to say a huge credit to Indiana. They came into Columbia and gave the number 1 seed all that they could handle. But once South Carolina locked in the gap in the depth of South Carolina's roster, their defensive intensity, it was just clear that Indiana couldn't do anything. Shea Chesky led Indiana with 12 points in this game, but there was just no upset in the cards for South Carolina. For Chloe Moore-McNeil, Sydney Parrish, and Carolyn Strickland, this marks the end of their Hoosier career. But for South Carolina, the road to another title is still wide open. Up next, they do have a Sweet 16 matchup between either Maryland or Alabama. But one thing's clear, guys. You can probably hang out with the Gamecocks for a half. But beating them is a whole different story completely. And we go from that game. We go from that game where it was a battle of halves into a game where there was one player who stood out amongst the rest and got the job done with the star player out. And I'm talking about none other than Ashlyn Jackson, who caught fire and carried Duke to a Sweet 16 appearance following a 59-53 win over Oregon. Now, guys, this game was a certified fight all the way to the end. Down at halftime without their leading scorer in Toby Fournier, who was out with illness. Duke was staring down a Oregon team that was not blinking. Duke needed a hero in this game to ultimately win it for them. And it came with Ashlyn Jackson. Scoreless in the first half. Ashlyn Jackson was absolutely unstoppable in that second half. She exploded for 20 second half points, 14 of them in the third quarter alone. This takeover was like a flip of the switch for Duke. Ashlyn ended up hitting 5 threes, including a dagger of a 3 with a minute and 33 left in the game. She was the lifeline that Duke desperately needed in this one. And look, Oregon came out ready to play in this game. Absolutely ready to play. The Ducks led at halftime. They were shooting 50% from the field early, and they looked like a very composed squad, right? You had Deja Kelly was hooping in her final game. She had 20 points in this one. And you saw Filipina Che, who did her thing with the double-double, 14 points, 13 rebounds. They rattled Duke. They absolutely rattled Duke. But at halftime, Kara Lawson went in that locker room. Whatever was said, and Duke came out with a 16-1 run. They were making a statement. Ashlyn Jackson hit 11 straight buckets. Reagan Richardson, Delaney Thomas, they all helped to fill the void that Toby Fournier left. They did their thing in this one. This was a huge overall team gut check, though Duke was helped out by some horrible news for Oregon as Peyton Scott went down in the second half. She went down in a non-contact injury, and so you all know when someone goes down with a non-contact injury, you know it's not going to be a good thing. She was ultimately helped to the locker room and then came back to the bench, but did not come back into the game. It didn't look good, but as Oregon's second leading scorer, not having Peyton Scott out there for the entirety of the second half, I think was a huge loss to Oregon and a huge benefit to Duke to ultimately being able to pull that one out. I do think they probably still win regardless, but not having the second best player on the opposing team in the game is a huge boon. Huge boon. And so, yeah, we'll see what exactly happened to Peyton, but it's a huge bummer that was the thing that kind of hurt Oregon's chances to ultimately pull this one out. They did make a final push in the fourth quarter, trimming the game to just a 1-point game, but the wheels ended up falling off. They missed their last 9 shots down the stretch, and Duke's defense just kind of locked down and just kind of put them in a straitjacket, and it was basically over from there. Kara Lawson did her big one again today. Absolutely did her big one. This win helps to punch Duke's ticket into the Sweet 16 and marks Kara Lawson's 28th win of the season. Duke. When you talk about Duke, yes, you get some flashes, right? But you are talking about a smart, physical team-first team. And I love to see it. So next up, Duke will either face UNC or West Virginia in the Sweet 16. So overall, fantastic game by Duke. Next up, let's talk about the reunion of sorts as Haley Van Lith comes in the building and stays at home, I should say, at TCU and beats her old team. So TCU makes Sweet 16 history in this game. This was a game that had a lot of stuff, right? It had some layers, right? It had some emotion. It had some firepower. It had a whole lot of irony, I would say, as Haley Van Lith's new team in TCU knocked out her old team in Louisville in a dominant 85-70 win to reach the Sweet 16 for the first time ever in program history. Haley Van Lith, she was her cool, calm, and vintage self. She had 16 points in this game, 10 assists. She really did command the floor in this game. And more than anything, this kind of was like a full circle moment. Like, she did not consider this a revenge game at all. I thought she played really well in this game. But here's the deal. This was not a Haley show at all. You had Agnes Imanopu, who dropped a season high of 23 points. You had Donovan Hunter, who was just making bucket after bucket after bucket. She had 18 points in this game, three threes, and she was rocking out. She was absolutely rocking out in this game. And when you have several of your players firing from all cylinders, it's pretty hard to lose. It is pretty hard to lose. Donovan Hunter literally did not miss. Now, I'm going to talk about another player who literally did not miss as well. But, Donovan Hunter, 18 points. Let me go through the stats. 18 points. 4 for 4 from 3. Overall, 6 for 6 from the field. Made both of her free throws. She was doing everything. And then you had Sedona Prince, who did her thing as well. She had 19 points in this game. Had 3 blocks in this one as well. And TCU, clicking on all cylinders. You had 4 players on your roster give you 16 or more points. And by halftime, the game was basically over. But, even though TCU had such a dominant game, even though, you have to call out the fan-freaking-tastic play of Jada Curry. Jada Curry put her entire team on her back. And unfortunately for her, she didn't have enough help. She did not have enough help. She torched TCU. She single-handedly torched TCU with 41 points. She had 6 threes in this game. This was the most points ever by a Louisville player in the NCAA tournament. Again, 6 threes. She had 5 assists, 3 steals. It was pure guts and heart looking at Jada Curry in her game yesterday. She gave it all that she absolutely had. But the bad thing about Louisville is that what you had was just Jada. Olivia Cochran, played a pretty good game as well. But like overall, it was just Jada and Olivia. That's it. That's why Louisville lost. That's why. Because yes, Jada played out of her mind. She played fantastic basketball. And you hate to see a player who dominates the way that she did yesterday. You hate to see them lose like that. Right? But you literally had 2 players on Louisville versus 4 on TCU. That's how you lose. That is how you lose. Jada Curry was the best player on the court. Hands down. And her team still lost. Her masterpiece of a game got buried by TCU's second quarter blitz, where Louisville went over 6 minutes without scoring a field goal. That was the stretch that kind of made this game over, right? The Cards tried to make some stuff happen sort of later in the game, but ultimately TCU, they always answered. Whether it was a Haley assist, whether it was Sedona Prince working down low, whether it was Donovan Hunter knocking down another 3, that was game. That was absolute game, guys. This was not a revenge win at all because, Haley had some great fond memories of Louisville, but this was proof. This game was proof that Mark Campbell is building something special in Fort Worth. In 2 years, this man has taken a team that was 1 of 17 in conference play. Now there are 33-3 on the season. They are staring down a Sweet 16 rematch with Notre Dame. And this is a team they already beat this year. So we gonna see. We are absolutely going to see what TCU and Notre Dame can bring us in the Sweet 16. That should be very, very, very fun. All right, next up we have K-State, who ended their 22-year drought in a overtime classic versus Kentucky. Here's the deal, guys. This game was straight up March mayhem. One of the wildest games of the tournament so far. Kansas State outlasted Kentucky in overtime, winning by just 1 point, 80-79, to punch their ticket to their first Sweet 16 since 2002. Guys, this game took everything that K-State had. Heart, hustle. 8 massive threes from Tamira Poindexter. Yeah, 8 threes from Tamira. I thought she was the X factor in this game that ultimately got Kansas State the victory. You can't really battle with someone who is just knocking down shot after shot after shot after shot. Tamira started this game ice cold. She couldn't do anything. She started 0 for 6 in this game, but ended up with 24 points, all of those points from the 3-point line. Crazy. She lit up Kentucky yesterday, including 2 big 3-pointers in that overtime. That the last one really just was the dagger that ultimately put Kansas State up for good. We saw, her not do it by herself, right? It was Serena Sundell doing her thing as well. Serena was everywhere, right? She was the floor general. She played all minutes in this game. She finished with 19 points in this one, 3 for 4 from the 3 herself. She had 14 assists in this game, and she was fantastic, right? She set a Kansas State program record for the all-time as the all-time assist leader. She was She was rocking out. She was rocking out. She was the one who helped to force overtime with the game tie-in jumper. She did a little bit of everything, and you saw Ayoka Lee doing her thing as well in the post. Almost had a double-double for her. 16 points, 9 rebounds. But for Kentucky, they fought, To be honest with you, I don't think they should have lost this game. I thought they were the better team pound for pound. But K-State came to play. And Kentucky tried to fight back into this game. They were down late in regulation. They rallied. Georgia Amore helped to kind of get this game to overtime. But then in overtime, Tamira Poindexter does her thing. We see Kentucky down by 1 point. And they had like 4 chances in the final minute of the game. 4 chances to win the game. They were down by 1. Multiple chance, missed jumpers, missed 3-point shots. And then finally, the last shot was a clean inbounds pass to Georgia Amore for a last-minute shot, last-second shot, rolls off the rim, the buzzer sounds, game over. Pure heartbreak. Pure heartbreak for this Kentucky team. It was absolutely wild just watching this game end. You didn't expect for them to lose like that. You had several chances in the last 33 seconds, and you missed all of them. We saw a fantastic game from Tamira Poindexter. Fan-freaking-tastic. But even with that, Kentucky still could and should have won. But let's be clear, guys. Let's be clear. Kentucky lost this game. Absolutely. This is the last game of Georgia Amore's college career. And as I believe she said in the post-game presser, one bucket, one shot does not define my entire career. She's right. Yes, she had a couple chances to win this game late. Yes, her team shouldn't have lost. However, she has had a fantastic college career, and I'm really interested to ultimately see what she does as she prepares for the WNBA. But this story is all about Tamira Poindexter and the Kansas State Wildcats. We literally saw the Wildcats versus the Wildcats. And in this one, the purple Wildcats got the dub. They are headed to the Sweet 16, and they will either face Mississippi State or USC. We will ultimately see what happens. Kentucky Rick says, everybody can get got, including my lady Cats. Yeah, your Cats went down. They absolutely beat themselves in this game. But ultimately, hey, players show up. And Tamira Poindexter, she showed up. And she absolutely did her thing in this game. Absolutely did her thing. All right, next up, let's talk about a gritty game. Extremely gritty game. And this one was an all-out battle between Ole Miss and Baylor as Ole Miss punches their ticket to the Sweet 16 after taking down the Baylor Bears 69-63. Now, if y'all want to know what toughness looks like in March, you better watch Ole Miss basketball because they had a huge, gritty win on the road to reach their second Sweet 16 in 3 seasons. This was not a pretty game at all. But at the end of it, it was pretty glorious as the number 5 seed takes down the number 4 seed. Ultimately, guys, this game was all about Madison Scott. Here's the deal, guys. Here's the deal. Madison Scott, she was not going to let history repeat itself. She's the lone lone Ole Miss player who remembers the 2022 loss in Texas, and she had an opportunity to put her team on the map, right? And she did absolutely just that. Madison Scott hits the go-ahead jumper with 40 seconds left in this game to ultimately help to seal the win for Ole Miss. She raises her hands. The crowd is stunned. And the story is flipped. Madison Scott did her thing in this one, finished with 14 points with the game's biggest bucket to boot. But here's the deal. Ole Miss, they are not just a one-woman show, right? Sierra Tinu did her thing, 16 points in this game, 6 rebounds as well, right? She ended up getting hit in the nose, but ended up coming back and balling. She had a career high in this game, and here's the deal: when we talk about this Ole Miss team, to me, in a lot of ways, I think it begins and ends with the heart and soul of this team, who is kind of like Coach Yo Jr. in a way, and KK Deans. KK Deans was someone who stepped up in this game big time. She was someone who ended up sealing the game. She had 6 attempts from the free throw line in yesterday's game. She made all 6, including getting fouled twice in the last 17 seconds of the game. She made all 4 free throws to seal this game. And I mean, it was ice in her veins. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, when you are at the free throw line, you are in enemy territory. You're in enemy territory, right? You are in Waco, in Baylor's home. The crowd is going wild. Your team is only up by 2 points. 17 seconds left to go. Baylor fouls you because they're like, hey, let's get a foul. Let's see if she missed her free throws and whatnot. You are ready. 17 seconds left. You're winning by 2. You get fouled. You get to the free throw line. You're like, okay, we got this. You take your time, calmly sink 1 bucket. Okay, get the ball back, calmly sink another bucket. Boom. Now you're up by 4. Now you're up by 4 in this game. And Baylor tries to shoot a 3, misses. Your team gets the rebound. You get fouled again, and once again, you're back to the free throw line. This time, it's about 4 seconds left. Technically, is Baylor gonna come back and win this game? No, but it's a 4-point game. Anything can happen. 4 seconds can be an eternity in women's basketball. So you get to the free throw line, calm, swish, make the first one, swish, make the second one. Game is over. Game is over. And Ole Miss wins. There is something to free throws. Because to me, I think free throws, especially towards the end of a game, it helps to just showcase all the hard work that was put in on the back end. To calmly go and knock down those free throws to ultimately seal this game. She had 13 points in this game and helped to kind of crack Baylor's zone in a way. This is a team that, like in Ole Miss, that is not a crazy shooting team, right? They're not fantastic shooters. They shot 37% from the field yesterday. They only made 2 threes in this entire game. They had a brutal second quarter where they only scored 6 points, but didn't matter because Ole Miss, they work. They outworked Baylor. They outlasted some of the second quarter chaos, and ultimately they showed composure for a team that has been through the fire before. We saw several ties, several lead changes in this game. In the fourth quarter alone, Baylor had the crowd, they had the size, they had multiple chances to take control and get the dub. But when the pressure hit, Ole Miss were the ones who kept their heads. And here's the deal. Coach Yo, she coached them through it. She coached them through the fire. And hey, when reality hits you in the middle of a game, when you only score 6 points in a quarter, you go to halftime and your coach is like, hey, y'all determine this game. Being at home is a great thing, right? And Baylor was at home. They had the momentum, and it was up to Ole Miss to punch them in the face in that second half, and that's exactly what they did. Now, the Rebels are headed on over to Spokane, where they will face UCLA. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see ultimately what happens in this one. But again, shout out to Ole Miss for ultimately getting the dub in that game. All right, let's see what y'all have to say in the comments. JB says, I think UCLA / Ole Miss, or UCLA versus Ole Miss could be a good one. I agree with you. I can see Ole Miss tripping up the Bruins if they can get some shots to fall. The defense will certainly be there, and UCLA doesn't look unbeatable at all. Well, yeah. I mean, especially if Ole Miss can figure out a way to lock up, Lauren Betts, I think it's over. And we're going to get into Lauren Betts, who was cooking last night, like absolutely cooking with grease last night. Yeah, if Ole Miss can stop her, hey, I mean, possibly upset alert. Here's the deal. Do y'all remember last year? In the Sweet 16? Was it last year? I believe it was last year, where Ole Miss beat Stanford in the Sweet 16. Wasn't that last year? Hold on. Let me double check to make sure that was last year. But Ole Miss has done it before. They've taken down a top opponent in the Sweet 16. I believe it was last year where they beat Stanford. And so I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't play with this team. I would not play with this team at all. I'm just going to Google it real quick. Sometimes my memory, I get years mixed up. So let me just make sure it was it last year? No, it was 2 years ago. Okay. Wasn't last year, 2 years ago. 2 years ago. 2 years ago, Ole Miss beat Stanford in the Sweet 16. So I'm just saying, like, anything can happen. Anything can happen. That was in 2023 where Ole Miss beat Stanford. So, like, Ole Miss can do it. They can absolutely do it. Okay? Get Lauren in foul trouble, and you can make some stuff happen. Kay Jackson, I agree. Yeah. Get her in foul trouble early. That's how you make it happen. That is how you make it happen. Josh says UCLA looks very rocky. Yeah. What's up, Nancy? What's up? Hope you are doing well. If y'all could hit that like button for me one time. We got 300 people in the chat, but we don't even have 100 likes yet. If y'all could hit that like button, again, it really does help the channel out a whole lot. I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right. We're going to continue on to another game that was oh so sweet. As Tennessee rolls past Ohio State into a record 37th Sweet 16. Kind of cool. Now, guys, this is what March is all about. It's all about adversity. It's all about adjustments, and it's about a whole lot of fights. And after falling behind by 11 early, Tennessee locked in and blew past Ohio State in order to win, to beat Ohio State at their home. Again, 5 versus 4 and the 5-1. As Tennessee wins in Ohio 82-67. Now, guys, this was a game that was pretty awesome, right? This was a chance to beat Ohio State in a very hostile environment, right? The Buckeyes, they don't really lose at home like that. This is a team that is very, very, very good at home. But the Lady Vols ended up outscoring Ohio State pretty badly. Pretty badly. And yes, they did have a shaky start to this game where it was 16-5, but ultimately, the Lady Vols ended up outscoring Ohio State 77-51 for the rest of the game. And the turnaround for Tennessee, the unlock for them was one player, Talasia Cooper. Talasia freaking Cooper, who did everything for the team yesterday. She was on the defensive end. She was getting after it, absolutely getting after it. She was hustling every single time on both offense and defense. She was someone who was literally everywhere on the court yesterday. Talasia Cooper, 19 points for her, 8 rebounds, 7 steals, 5 assists, and a block. Again, everywhere. She did a little bit of everything for this squad. And ultimately, guys, remember, Talasia Cooper, she didn't even start yesterday. She came off the bench and just lit a fire in this squad. She did a little bit of everything. Yes, she did have 6 turnovers, which, yeah, problematic. But she was flat out amazing in just about everything else. Talasia Cooper was on one. This was her moment yesterday, and she absolutely owned it. We saw Ohio State try to make a run in the third quarter. But Tennessee, they were like, nah, we're not folding. We're not folding in this game. We are about to continue to light a fire in you. Tennessee, they had some runs in this game, right? Huge runs, 15-4 run in the second half. This is a squad that did a little bit of everything. And it wasn't just, I talk about Talasia Cooper, and yes, Talasia was great, but it wasn't just her, guys. Ruby Whitehorn did her thing in this one. 14 points, 5 boards in this game. We saw some great play from Samara Spencer as well. This is a team that they all played together, right? Samara Spencer with the step back, 3-point bucket, whoosh, stuff like that. The fact that Tennessee knocked down 10 threes in this game as opposed to Ohio State's 5. This is a squad that just out-hustled the opponent, right? Tennessee didn't even shoot that well, but they had 71 attempts, 71 field goal attempts compared to Ohio State's 54. This is a game that was kind of won in a way by the margins. And Tennessee, they do what they do best. They forced Ohio State into turnovers. What does Tennessee love to do? They love to run. They love to put pressure on defense. A ton of pressure, full court pressure. Make you get flustered so that way they can get easy buckets down in this game. And that's what happened. That is exactly what happened. 23 turnovers for Ohio State. And when Tennessee got those turnovers, they capitalized. 37 points off of those turnovers. Add in 15 offensive boards, 21 second chance points, and there you have it. That is how you silence an undefeated home crowd. The Lady Vols got production from everybody. Everybody was making stuff happen for the Lady Vols, right? It was Z Spearman doing her thing in this game. 17 points for her, 5 rebounds. Samara Spencer, 10 points, right? You have some key threes from Jewel Spear, Tess Darby in this game, right? strong minutes from Julian Hollenshed, Alyssa Lathan. Like so many great moments in this game. And for the 18th time this season, Tennessee hit double digits when it came from threes. This is a program record. This is a team that is ready to go. Now, there have been some little hiccups during the season for Tennessee, but I'm going to tell you this. Kim Caldwell, in her first year as the head coach, is the real deal. The standard is back to being the standard for Tennessee. It's back to being the standard. And I, as someone who used to be a huge fan of Tennessee, right? Huge legacy fan of Tennessee. Like, I love the Pat Summitt days, and then they kind of fell off. It is awesome for just the history of the program for them to be getting back to where they used to be. And I think it's kind of cool. So either they will face Texas or Illinois in the Sweet 16. And again, shout out to the Lady Volunteers. Shout out to the Lady Volunteers. And Ohio State was not happy about this game at all. Jelani Cambridge, she was trying. She was missing shots left and right. But ultimately, she did finish with 19 points in this game. Cody McMahon was frustrated throughout. She experienced, her and Jelani experienced some huge foul trouble in this game. Both almost got fouled out in this one. And Cody McMahon kind of made some headlines a little bit in the handshake line where she was not very happy. And here, maybe I'll show the clip. It's probably easier to show the clip than to try to explain what happened. But yeah, it was pretty interesting. I was like, oh, Cody, what's going on with you? But yeah, she's of course she was upset because, Ohio State played like crap. Yes, they dealt with some foul troubles and whatnot, but ultimately at the end of the day, they didn't show up. They were at home and they didn't show up. And so, sure, she's mad, but hey, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Let me show that clip real quick, and we will move on. One second, guys. All right, so here is the clip of here's the clip. It's in a way it's kind of funny. In a way I'm just like, what in the world? Because Kim Caldwell's response, she's about to shake Cody's hand. Cody's about getting in line, and Cody's saying something, and Kim Caldwell's looking like, what in the world did you talk about? That is kind of funny. That is kind of funny, but at the same time it's like, come on, girl. Because now this has already been clipped and has already gone a whole bunch of places already. It's you don't need more targets on your back, okay? You do not need more targets. Ultimately, yeah, Cody, she had 17 points, I believe, in this game. Not that great of a game, but ultimately, hey, you have to keep your composure, and that's not a good look. That's not a good look. She had the whole thing where she was sticking up her middle finger in a game. You had the thing where she was talking about how Iowa and how they were disrespectful or whatever. And now it's this, and so it's stuff that people. I don't know. I get it. I get why she's mad. I'd be mad too. But at some point you have to kind of, know that eyes are on you. You have to know that people are watching you, right? It's a very understandable response. Absolutely understandable that you're upset. But also, as someone who kind of knows So as someone who has seen the growth of women's basketball and knows how much people are actively looking at these games specifically to clip stuff out so they can say something negative about you, you got to know that this is happening. So that way you can kind of be on your P's and Q's. Right? I get you're upset. I get it. Ohio State shouldn't have played the way they played at all. I get it. But at the same time, you kind of have to know how people are going to react to your stuff. And maybe you don't care, but at the same time, it's like this stuff goes everywhere. It goes everywhere, and you don't need another thing to kind of put a target on your back. So that's my only thing. That's my only thing. Marcia says Cody was upset. She's a competitor. It is what it is. I wasn't perfect at that age either. Kim's response had me laughing though. Look like the look I give my teenager. Yeah, here's the thing. In a vacuum, this is not a big deal at all. This is funny. Like, again, as I said earlier, I thought this was funny. Like Kim Caldwell's response, like, what in the world? Like, what are you talking about? But seeing how people have seen some of the articles that I've seen about Cody McMahon, seeing just how some of the narrative seems to be going in terms of the internet, I just think this was just not another thing that she needed to have people, continue to bash her. So, that's my only thing that I'm just like, ugh. Man, I wish this didn't happen. Because in a vacuum, this isn't a big deal. This isn't. This is just a player who's wearing their heart on their sleeve. They upset at the end of the game. I get it. But when this gets taken and ran with, it's not great. It's not great. But anyway, shout out to Tennessee for getting the job done. Shout out to Tennessee for that one. Again, Tennessee wins 82-67, and they continue to move on. Okay. Let's continue on. And let's talk about Notre Dame. Oh, actually, real quick, let's go to a comment real quick. What happens next says, it's not a big deal. She should be free to express herself. She didn't harm anyone. She's not a robot. Don't put people in a box to respond the same way. Well, yeah. It's not a big deal in the vacuum of things. She didn't do anything wrong. She didn't hurt anybody. She didn't do anything bad, I would say. It's just she was very emotional at the end of the game. Not happy about it. But my whole point is that there are a lot of people out there who are looking to capitalize on showing these ladies in a terrible light. And I just don't like it when that happens. I don't like it when I see a player when I see a player kind of do their thing and then it gets taken, clipped out, and then it's on all these sites and all these things of people who are using this to continue to bash the game and to bash the players. And so to me, I think that was just as someone who has seen the women's game grow a lot, I have seen the additional attention where there are people who are really just trying to find something negative. And I think this is just another negative thing that is intended to make Cody McMahon look like a horrible person. And I just think that as someone who's very, very young and knows what's going on in social media, you just kind of got to know what people are going to be doing. And that way you can kind of help protect your own brand, because these players are a brand. And so that's my thing. Again, not a big deal, but because I have seen a whole bunch of stuff, I don't like it. I don't like the narrative that some of these players are getting. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about Notre Dame. And Notre Dame ended up handling their business against Michigan. They absolutely smashed Michigan and rolled into their 21st Sweet 16 of all time. They absolutely showed no mercy in yesterday's game. They were a team that was on the Wolverines' back from the get-go. Never ultimately letting up. Again, 76-55 was the final score. The game was over after the first quarter. The Irish ended up opening to a blitz of an offense, going on a 32-12 first quarter in this game, and it was over. They were shooting 75% from the field. Hannah was scoring. Leah King was scoring. Sonia Citron was scoring. They were all kind of rocking out. And yes, Michigan tried to recover, but they just couldn't do it. Their freshman phenoms were kind of doing their thing in Olivia Olson and Silas Swords and whatnot. But at the same time, they just did not have enough in their bag. It was too much on the defensive end for Notre Dame. And Michigan could not make anything really happen. They only scored 8 points in that third quarter. And it was over from the first quarter. But guys, one thing I have to talk about is Leah King. So yesterday we saw Donovan Hunter go perfect in her game. Yesterday, Leah King was also perfect. Leah King, 18 points, 15 rebounds, 7 of 7 from the field, 4 for 4 from the free throw line. She was literally perfect. She made no mistakes. 3 steals, 3 assists, 2 steals. She had 0 turnovers in this game. She was basically perfect. Basically perfect. And I love to see it. I love to see it. I've talked about Leah King before, and I did a previous video where I talked about Leah King has not been the same person that she was last year with Pitt. She has not been. She has not been someone who has been actively looking for her shot. And I said that was one of the reasons why I did not believe Notre Dame could win it all, was because of the passiveness that some of their players are playing like, especially Leah King. But yesterday, Leah was on one. She's like, give me that basketball. Let me hit that mid-range. I got this. And this is exactly the type of play that we need from Leah King. If Notre Dame actually wants to be successful, they need her to do her thing. They absolutely do. This is one of the most efficient games that we have seen from somebody in a Notre Dame uniform. And dog, you got to love it. You have to love it. And Olivia Miles, a thing to know is that she did start. She ended up playing in this game. It was like a TBD. Would she play? Would she not play? She decided a couple minutes before tip-off that she was going to play. She did chip in 8 points, 5 assists in this game. Was a factor. Her minutes were massive, or her minutes were limited, but her impact was pretty good as well in this game. Ultimately, Notre Dame's defense was just a little bit too much. Michigan is a team that averages around 78 points a game, but they were held to only 55 points. This is a season low for them. When you can't buy a bucket and when you go several minutes without scoring, that's the difference. That is absolutely the difference in this one. The Irish did their job on defense, which led to offensively them absolutely dominating. We saw Hannah Hidalgo have a really good game. She had 21 points in this one, 50% from the field. Sonia Citron did her thing as well, also 50% from the field. She finished with 16 points in this one. Notre Dame rock on to the Sweet 16. And so we'll ultimately see what they end up doing in the Sweet 16 as they get ready to kind of make some noise. We'll ultimately see. But if we can continue to see Leah King dominating the way she did, okay, It's going to be pretty interesting. It is going to be pretty interesting. All right, guys. Let's continue on. And we got to finish up. With talking about UCLA, because UCLA rallies and then they absolutely run away with it. As they defeat Richmond, they defeat the Spiders. The final score of that game was 84 UCLA, 67 for Richmond. Now, guys, overall, I gotta say a huge shout out to Richmond. I did not expect this game to be very competitive. However, similar to the way that Indiana handled that first quarter versus South, or that first half versus South Carolina, I saw it as a similar thing for Richmond versus UCLA, where Richmond was absolutely doing anything. So yes, this game looks like a blowout, but it was a dogfight in that entire first half. Richmond, they came out fearless in this game. They shot 73% in that first quarter. They were throwing UCLA off balance, right? They were trying to do whatever they could to kind of muck it up on both the offensive and defensive end, and having the game tied at halftime. They had a lot of momentum coming into halftime, but then halftime comes. Corey Close talks to her team, and then comes the Bruins, who are dominating. They outscored Richmond 29-7, or they outscored Richmond 29-7 in that third quarter. And it was just a duo who was kind of leading the charge. And that duo was Lauren Betts and Kiki Rice. Lauren Betts, I mean, she's the biggest thing out there, was absolutely unstoppable down low. And UCLA was actually making a point to give her the basketball. 30 points for her, 14 boards. She went 14 of 17 from the field. She had 9 straight points at one time in this game. She was someone on defense, was doing her thing. She was just fantastic. Fantastic down low. Again, in my opinion, there is no one in women's college basketball right now that can beat Lauren Betts. I don't believe that there is anybody that can really defend her one-on-one for a full game. I just don't believe it. And clearly, Richmond couldn't do it yesterday. But that's no knock on them. I really don't believe anybody could really do it. But she was going off. Lauren Betts was going off. And the thing is, it would have been fine if it was just Lauren Betts going off. But it wasn't just Lauren Betts. Kiki Rice absolutely did her thing yesterday. Hit a career high 4 three-point baskets. She had 23 points in this game. She had 7 assists. She was the person kind of keeping UCLA up, shifting the momentum when she needed to, and kind of helping to dictate the big plays that UCLA made, especially in that second half. Huge credit to Corey Close, who did whatever she did at halftime, lit a fire in this team, and ultimately, this was a team that looked terrible. Well, not terrible. They didn't look good at all. Actually, they did look kind of terrible in that first half, to be honest with you, on both the offensive and defensive end. But they were flat-footed. They weren't going all the way. They were about to get got. But then they ended up intensifying the pressure on defense, forcing Richmond to only shoot 20% in that third quarter. Maggie Dugan, she did her thing in this game for the Richmond Spiders. She had 27 points, but she struggled in that second half, specifically that third quarter, and UCLA kind of just went on from there and got the dub. Again, I really do think that this UCLA game is very similar to that South Carolina game, where it's like in the first half, y'all didn't play like y'all selves. Y'all didn't play like y'all was ready. But in the second half, y'all came out there and absolutely dominated. Absolutely dominated in this game. In the end, the Bruins were a little bit too big, too deep, too fast, and too relentless. They dominated the glass 40-28. They grabbed 21 offensive boards and never let Richmond breathe, especially in that third quarter. Hey, the Spiders, they were trying their best in this game, but in that second half, that was it. They are now 32-2 on the season, and the Bruins are headed to their third straight Sweet 16 as they take on Ole Miss. I'm interested to see what happens, man. If UCLA can be the second half version of UCLA in that Ole Miss game, I think we got a really good battle ahead of us. We have a really, really good battle. This is a team that could make it to the championship if they play through Lauren Betts. The question is, will they continue to play through Lauren Betts? And will Kiki Rice continue to play as great as she's playing right now? That is the question. We will ultimately see what happens. But guys, that is kind of your recap for yesterday. I was gonna do like a video style, but I ran out of time. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna talk through all my notes. I'm gonna talk through all my notes about the game, and we gonna rock out. We are going to rock out. But yeah, man. A couple things to note. We are headed into transfer portal madness. Okay. Here's the deal, guys. Here is the deal. The transfer portal opens today for the men's team. Oh wait. Oh no, I think it might open for both. I know it opens for sure for the men today. Let me see if it opens for the women today as well. Okay, so according to Sports Illustrated, the women's basketball transfer portal opens tomorrow. Okay. So the portal opens at the conclusion of the second round, and so yeah, it looks like it's opening. It looks like it's opening tomorrow. I saw some people say today. It is today for the women. I mean, for the men, it is today for the men, but for the women, it is not today. And if you don't believe me, let me just pull up the article. All right. So this is a Sports Illustrated article. It says, for both men and women's basketball, the transfer portal for the 2024-2025 academic year will be open one day after the conclusion of the second round of the NCAA men's basketball tournament and the women's basketball tournament. The dates listed are below. The men's transfer portal starts today, and it looks like the women's transfer portal starts tomorrow. Though there are players currently in the transfer portal, because if your coach leaves the program, you are automatically able to enter the transfer portal. I believe there is other. It says it right here. There are also some exceptions to this year's transfer portal window. Student athletes whose coach leaves the school will have an additionally 30 days to enter the portal, beginning after the coach's departure. So there are some players already in the transfer portal. All right, there are some already in the portal, and let me see. This is very. Hold on, guys. Let's go into the basketball tracker right here. And we're going to end off on this note. All right. Okay, here's the basketball transfer portal tracker. And this is by on 3, and we'll see who's in there so far. So actually, no, is this last year's? Oh, darn. This might be last year's. Yeah, actually, never mind. We'll do this later. No, this is today. So currently there is 180 entries in the portal. But anyway, let's see what y'all got to say, and we will stop this stream. Wow, we've been going for, an hour. Wow, this is way longer than I actually expected to go for. So I appreciate y'all for still rocking with me. This has been a long one. Appreciate y'all for rocking with me. Okay, let's get to some of y'all comments, and we will end it there. Let's see. Eric says, "Who's leading the Quita's bracket? Is there a prize for winning?" I don't know who's winning. Let me see. For a prize, I didn't actually announce a prize, but the prize could be you get a I can get you a code for the site, and you can get some merch. So yeah, we can have that. We can have that be the prize. Hopefully that's a good prize. I don't know. I don't know if y'all think that's a good prize, but yeah, that could be the prize. But yeah, let me go to see our bracket real quick and see how people are doing. Let's see how people are faring. I'm sure everybody's faring way better than me because I clearly was not very good on my bracket. My bracket is total trash, y'all. Total trash, I tell you. All right, here we go. Let's open this up. Okay, all right. Let's take a look. So it looks like I'm Too Good is looks like we got actually a couple people at the top. Let me actually refresh, make sure this is the most accurate. All right, so we have my pick, which is I'm at 84%, so not very good. But we got a couple people who are 99.4% still right. So shout out to I'm Too Good. Shout out to Cody Nels 017's picks 3. Shout out to Juma 2025. Breeze picks. Cody Nell. So it's actually quite a few people. It's actually quite a few people who are still looking really good. Charlie MCD, Queen, ESPN's 9939. Like, yeah, some of y'all are really good. All right, so that's what we got so far. We got some really, really, really good pickers. Okay. We got some really, really good pickers. So we'll kind of see how everything continues to shake out. But yeah, man. Shout out to the people who are doing really, really well at the bracket. Rachel says my bracket is in the top 95%. Oh, shout out to you, man. Says I'm so lit. I owe it to you, Quita, for instilling knowledge to me. Well, I appreciate it. Appreciate it. We got some more awesome games that are happening later today that I am very, very much excited about. I hope y'all are excited about it as well. But yeah, anyway, that's been how we've been rocking out. Nisha says, how can we see the bracket? I mean, if you go, I put a link in the communities tab a while ago with the link to this. And if you go in, like let's look at I'm Too Good's bracket. Looks like they were able to select correctly. So they had all these right. Let's see, what did they get wrong? What did this person get wrong? Looks like the only I'm Too Good had 2 things wrong. They had Oklahoma State beating South Dakota State, but that wasn't the case. And they also had Louisville losing to Nebraska, but Louisville won. So those are the two two wrong things from this one, but everything else has been right so far. We'll see as the day goes on if they stay right. But yeah, if you just click on people's bracket, you'll be able to actually see specifically what they picked. Anthony is Williams says Quita bracket is terrible. It is, because here's the deal. Every year, I kind of do a different tactic. Some years I'm like, okay, I am specifically trying to just go for the best team. The best team is going to win, and I go for the best team. But then we see upsets. So this year, I was trying to do a hybrid of the best teams, but also teams that I thought could, make an unlock and get the dub. But we'll see. We'll see. We will see. Vaughn says, who's going to replace Georgia Amore at Kentucky? Well, TBD. TBD. I mean, Kenny Brooks has had Georgia Amore in his program for a long time. And so I don't know. There were some questions about, like, how could he replace Elizabeth Kitley? And, Clara Strack is doing a great job. So, like, I don't know. We'll see. Anthony says, Quita, stop clipping my little shade. You catch it every time. Hey, shade is cool here. Shade is cool here. Carl says, wait, can I see your bracket? My bracket's terrible. It's absolutely horrible. I thought that Georgia Tech would beat Richmond, right? But they got killed. I thought that Harvard would beat Michigan, but they didn't. I thought that Cal would beat Mississippi State, but they didn't. I thought that Murray State would beat Iowa, but they didn't. I thought that Oklahoma would beat South Dakota State, but they didn't. And I thought that Vandy would beat Oregon, but they did not. So, yeah. I got a lot of stuff wrong. But we'll see. Ultimately, I still think I'm going to get my Final Four right. I still think my Final Four is going to be right, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway, I do want to say thank y'all so much for rocking with me. As y'all are joining the chat, I really do appreciate it. If y'all could hit that like button for me one time, it really does help the channel out a whole lot. Hit that like button for me. Also subscribe to the channel if y'all have not subscribed yet. We are on our road to 50,000 subscribers. That is the huge road that we are on. Okay, huge road. Okay. If y'all could help me to get that goal, I think it'd be fun. I think it would be really, really fun to eventually hit that. I don't know if we ever will, but, life is all about the journey. It is all about the journey. And so we'll see what happens. If y'all could tell a neighbor, tell a friend that Quita Loves Sports is on in the mornings, every single morning, talking about some women's hoops. Truth is asking, who's your Final Four pick? So in the Final Four, I have UCLA, or no, I'm sorry. I have, who do I have for the Final Four? I got UConn, Notre Dame, and UConn, Notre Dame, and I have South Carolina and UCLA. Okay, South Carolina, UCLA, Notre Dame, and UConn. Okay, and in the championship game, I have South Carolina versus UConn, and in the end, I have UConn winning. Now, I know, I see some of y'all in the chat talking about you can't believe I picked UConn over South Carolina. I'm just, hey, I got to make my picks, and I believe that AZ Foot is about to dominate. I really do. I think AZ Foot is going to have a great game. I think Ashton Shade is going to have a huge unlock. I think Paige Beckers is going to be Paige Beckers. I think the freshman, oh my goodness, I'm blanking on her name. Sarah Strong is going to have a great game. I really do think that it's going to be a huge game for UConn, specifically because we see we see, the rise that that UConn is on, and I really do think they're going to do everything in their power to ensure that Paige Beckers wins a championship. Like I really do. Now could I be wrong? Yes, I could be wrong. That's the thing. I've been wrong several times during this process so far. We'll see. Ultimately, UConn can win. We saw that they dominated against South Carolina earlier this year, but this game is not going to be a domination type of game. I really do think it's going to be very, very close, probably within like 5 or 10 points. Maybe even determined by 2 points in this game. But I do think that UConn will come out with the victory. But we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. Who knows? Only time will tell. Remember, guys, the championship game is happening on April the 6th. So I hope y'all are excited about it. Shout out to What Happens Next. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the super chat. Says... we're fired up about women's basketball. Thanks, Quita. ESPN sucks on their overall coverage of the sport. We love basketball. ESPN is cool, but ESPN is for a certain, like, they can't do this on ESPN. Like, you can't, like, you're not going to hear, them be able to have the conversations on like every single matchup and like really go dive into it and like interact with people, and like they can't really do that on ESPN because that's just not what ESPN is. But I will say the people that they do have covering women's basketball on ESPN I think are really great. It's just that they can't go as long as I think they need to when it comes to women's basketball. And I also think that they are told, and I don't know if this is true, but like sometimes like they just talk about the same people constantly, and I'm just like, are you told to just talk about these people? Like what's going on? But like, yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's better than nothing. Here's the deal: I remember when women's basketball got way less than this, and so like I'm one of those people who are just like always like very, very grateful about like what's going on. Like we have way more women's coverage on ESPN than we have in a very, very maybe forever, honestly. And so yes, we can nitpick, we can say we don't like certain stuff, and absolutely that's valid. But also, we're at a way better place now in women's coverage than we ever have been. So like, and also that's why I'm here to fill in the gap. I'm here to help fill in the gap. And I appreciate you. What Happens Next? Thank you so much for your support. Salute to you. Thank you so much for rocking with this channel. Thank y'all so much for rocking with this. We are collaborative in this nature. We are doing this together. Amy says it's obvious to me that most of the on-air analysts don't watch the games. I don't know if they do or not. I think they have like big TVs in the studios or whatever, but I don't know. I tell you this. I enjoy having my multiple screens, watching the games and whatnot. The good thing is now that we've kind of pared down, now I only have 2 games on my screen instead of 4. and then it's just gonna be 1 game at a time, which is gonna be great. It's gonna be really great. Y'all have a great day. I've been rambling too much. Oh man, I gotta start working like 7 minutes. Okay, I gotta go. Y'all have a good one. Be kind to people. Be nice to people. Tell somebody that they matter, because they really, really do. And if no one has told you, you matter. You're important, and I'm happy that you are on this earth, guys. Y'all have a great day. Enjoy some women's basketball. Have a productive day at your work, at your job, whatever you doing. Do it to the best of your abilities, and rock out, guys. Yeah, man. Love you, and have a great day. I will see y'all soon. I'll see y'all maybe tonight, probably tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow morning, same time, same place. Though we will not be on live that long. Okay, tomorrow's gonna be short and sweet. But yeah, whole bunch of games on today. Watch them. All right, see y'all in the next one. Bye bye. Oh, didn't turn it off. Okay, bye bye.